Hello and welcome to Skull Buff Sports. I'm Mason LeBeau.
I'm Quinn Crack.
And this is Skull Buff Sports. Tonight we have developing news. Colorado basketball legend Chauncey Billups is in hot water after he was arrested this morning for his involvement in a mafia-backed gambling scheme. The NBA Hall of Famer and current head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers allegedly helped fix high-stakes poker games in Las Vegas, Miami, and New York. He was one of more than 30 individuals charged, including Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, who was also accused of rigging sports using confidential information about the NBA and its players. Billups appeared in court this evening and was released from custody. He faces money laundering and wire fraud charges and was put on leave by the Trailblazers.
In light of Coach Prime and the Buffs traveling to Salt Lake City this weekend, our crew on SBS Football Live made their picks on the outcome of Saturday's matchup.
That brings us to our feature game. This is going to be the late night game, the last game of the week. The Colorado Buffaloes on the road taking on the Utah Utes. Quarterback still in question. Who do you got?
Well, listen, Utah's defense only is allowing 15 points a game this season. That's the 12th best in the nation, not just the Big 12, in the nation. I think that's going to be just too tough of a task for CU. I will say, the spot for the Buffs because, again, I talked about BYU coming off this emotional rivalry game. It's the same for the Utes, and they also obviously got that loss. I just don't have enough confidence to pick them outright. Again, I struggle to see Colorado's defense containing Devon Dampier, especially if he plays. This is a stat, guys. Utah is first in FBS in third down percentage. They've converted 58% of the time. My biggest concern with CU is can they get off the field on third down, and can they contain the quarterback run? I like the Utes in this game.
You know, every time I've been on this show, I picked against CU, right? I mean, CU's coming off the bye week. It's going to be a rivalry matchup. The Rumble and the Rockies, and Utah's favored by 2 touchdowns. And Devin Dampier's health in question, though. I think the Buffs defense made some good adjustments in the bye week. Hopefully, Pat Sherman, that offense, made some adjustments, and they stay consistent and close out games. Give me Colorado and Salt Lake City. I got them on the upset, covering the spread, baby.
Ooh, covering the spread. There's certainly a upset if they were to go in there. No ranking attached to Utah anymore, but they are still heavily favored in this game. Aditya, do you see Colorado pulling the upset?
Unfortunately, no. I'm taking Utah. It's tough to win in Rice Eccles in Salt Lake City, and their physicality usually wears teams down. Colorado will put up a fight, but I think Utah will win this game.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned it. Rice Eccles Stadium is a tough place to play. And I didn't mention this when we were talking about the student section, but in 2021, they won Student Section of the Year. That's out of the country. That's out of the country. They won the best student section in the country that season. And as I mentioned, the seats have only been filling quicker. They've been filling that stadium, and now they got Colorado coming in. And their defense is essentially the inverse of what Colorado has had. They're smash mouth. They hit hard, and they force you to put the ball in the air. That's something that Colorado has struggled with. But with Utah, they are now looking at struggling with that as well. I think this quarterback situation gives the Buffaloes a little bit of hope. And to me, doesn't matter if it's Dampier, if it's Bird, if it's a plane, I do not care. This secondary is ready. They're intercepting passes with one hand and a club on the other, and they're going to do the exact same thing against whoever Utah trots out there this weekend. They're going to Salt Lake City where they're going to win by 1,000,000 over the Utah Utes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here on SBS Football Live. For Liam, Aditya, Shane, and Xavier, thank you very much for joining us, and you heard it here first.
You know, Quinn, word around campus is they call you a bit of a MILF.
Me?
I don't know about you, but man, I love football. On Football Live, they discuss soon what's to be another chance for Colorado to make a statement, traveling to Rice Eccles Stadium to face Coach Kyle Whittingham's Utah Utes. Utah leads the Big 12 in rushing with a powerful front led by star quarterback transfer Devin Dampier. Meanwhile, the Buffaloes sit at 3-4, but are rounding the corner on both offense and defense. After a much-needed bye, they're looking for their second straight conference upset. Kickoff is another late one, set for 8:15 p.m. on ESPN.
Health is a key role for Saturday, as it will for many of Colorado homestretch games. Utah's Dampier is questionable after an ankle injury suffered last week. If out, the Utes will turn to Beard Ficklin. The freshman has 3 rushing touchdowns, but just 9 pass attempts in his college career. Meanwhile, the Buffs are slowly getting healthier. Wide receiver turned running back Draylon Miller, defensive end Arden Walker, and safety Carter Stoutmeyer will return in Salt Lake City.
That brings us to this week's trivia question. With a historic tilt this Saturday between some old Pac-12 friends, we're asking you, when was the last time Utah football beat Utah in back-to-back matchups? As a reminder, the Buffs topped the Utes last season. We'll have that answer for you later on in the show.
The 24-ranked volleyball team beat West Virginia in a 5-set thriller on Saturday afternoon. The first set wasn't in the favor of the Buffs as they fell 8 points in the first set, but snuck their way back in to steal the win in the second, fourth, and fifth sets. Junior pin attacker Anna Berlovich recorded 21 kills in the match, which makes this her 8th match with 20 kills or more in a match. Although hitting-wise, Berlovich was the killer middle blocker. Maria Spallerik recorded 8 blocks, including 1 solo block. CU continues their run at conference play, standing at 7-1.
The Black and Gold went on a road trip to Lubbock, Texas to face the Texas Tech Red Raiders and are coming back to Boulder with a 5-set win last night. Multiple stellar stars brought the Buffs the win as Anna Berlovich had 26 kills, while Buff middle blocker Kayla Payne and Maria Spolowski had 0 hitting errors. It was a scrappy matchup from the Buffs, but they pulled through with 0 hitting errors in set 1 and 5. Hitting over 400 and 500 in the 5th, CU continues to stroll into the Big 12, moving to 8-1 in conference play, heading into this weekend's home matchup against Iowa State on Saturday at 1 p.m. Mountain.
The Colorado volleyball team is ranked once again for the 3rd week in a row, sitting at the number 24 slot in the American Volleyball Coaches Poll. CU currently is 17-3 overall and is 7-1 in conference play. The Black and Gold continue to showcase the reason why the Buffs are one of the top teams in the country, with the offensive talents of Anna Berlovich and defensive talents of Sarah Morton.
I mean, Anna can really do everything, right? She can obviously attack the ball at a high level.
I love attacking, obviously. I love getting majority of the balls.
She's really efficient. She makes great decisions.
I'm always aggressive. I always think of I want to do what's best for my team.
You always know what you're going to get from Anna. It's always consistently good, and then when she's great, we have a chance to beat anybody.
Anna Barilovic and the CU women's volleyball team has found themselves with the most wins in the Big 12. For Barilovic, playing for the Croatian national team has helped her step up her game.
I was just surrounded by older girls, older players, and I see how much work they put in every single day, so that just motivated me to do better. We have a board in our locker room and we write our goals for the day every single day. And every day I write, just focus on everything.
After a 5-set victory over Texas Tech last night, Barilovic has increased her total kills in 5th sets to 19. The team has leaned on her poise.
You want to lean on your best player when it really counts, and in the 5th set it really counts, right? So we're going to feed her the ball, and she's come through for us this season.
It got a little rough for us in the 4th and 5th sets, so I just stayed present and I know this team relies on me, so I need to do my job and we need to win.
Despite all the individual successes the team has had this year, the CU women's volleyball team has still won as a unit. CU returns 10 players from last season, and the click has been instant.
It's always helpful to coach experienced players. They, understand kind of what's expected.
The essence of our team remained the same. The starting lineup is pretty much the same, and it helped us a lot.
And then they also start to coach each other a little bit, right? And I think that's been another key to our success this season.
We have a lot of upperclassmen in this team, and we're just trying to set a good example for our freshmen and our sophomores.
It's been gratifying that it's been a team success. It hasn't been 1 or 2 players. It's been everyone getting a little bit better.
Halfway through conference play, Colorado still has 7 of the top 9 teams to look forward to playing.
We put ourselves in a great position in the first half, the back half is going to be tougher.
We just try to encourage each other to do better, to be tough on each other in practice, to compete, because we know what's coming and big teams are ahead of us, so we need to step it up.
But more than anything, I think we're just a year older and a little bit wiser and playing with a little bit more hunger than we did last year.
While the roster may not look different, the team certainly is. Through experience, poise, and star power, they'll look to make a play for the playoffs. This is Jake Chow reporting for ScoBuff Sports.
This weekend on Saturday, the Buffs will be back at the CU Event Center to welcome the Iowa State Cyclones as they face off at 1 p.m. Mountain. The two teams have met 59 times before, where Colorado leads the all-time series 41-18. Last season, the Buffs went into Ames, Iowa, where CU beat the Cyclones in 4 sets. They now look to extend their wins in conference play to 9, but for that to happen, the Buffs need to stay on their feet, as Iowa State's hitting has had a very strong start with their hitting percentages of .300. The game will be streamed on ESPN+.
The Colorado Buffaloes will be traveling 60 miles to Greeley, Colorado on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time to face the University of Colorado Bears. The two teams have only met 7 different times, with CU at 5 wins and 2 losses. Last season, the Bears defeated the Buffs in a 5-set thriller, but this time, things may look different. In the meeting between CU and the Bears last season, Maddie Davies recorded 22 kills, whereas Anna Berlovich recorded 15. Davies is no longer on the team as she has graduated, but the stellar stars of the match for CU are returning. The game will be streamed on ESPN Plus on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Mountain.
On Monday, the women's soccer team went on the road against BYU, and both Faith and Hope Leba scored in the first half, with each of their goals coming in just 40 seconds apart as they got out to a 2-1 lead. BYU got another quick response in a chaotic first half, but things were shut down in the second. Jordan Knights made for 4 of her 7 saves in the second half as the Buffs would tie 2-2. Another solid week of action, the 11-2-2 Buffs now sit as the 21st best team in the nation. The latest United Soccer Coaches poll puts the Buffs just ahead of 10-5 North Carolina.
On Printup Field, the Buffs are hosting the first-place Texas Tech Raiders. The Buffs sit 3 points behind the Red Raiders in Big 12 standings. A win would catapult them from 5th place in the Big 12 to 1st. Texas Tech sits at 12-1-2 on the season and 6-0-2 in conference play. The Red Raiders are ranked 5th in the country. Last year, the two teams tied 1-1 in Lubbock, Texas. This year, Texas Tech's leading goal scorer Taylor Sherjeski will look to lead the Red Raiders past Big 12 Goalie of the Week, Jordan Knights.
The Buffs will wrap up action on Printup Field Sunday as they host the Arizona Wildcats. Last time the two teams played in Boulder, the Buffs got a 2-0 win. Hope Leba's 15 goals are just 2 away from tying the single-season record, and as Arizona lets in the second most goals per game in the Big 12. Leba's lethal foot will have an opportunity to break Nikki Marshall's record set in 2006. You can tune into ESPN Plus at noon to catch that one.
The Buffs will round out their season on the road in Lawrence, Kansas next Thursday. The Kansas Jayhawks currently sit at 6th in the Big 12, standing at 4-3-1. Second in shots and corner kicks, the Kansas offense generates a lot of buzz. Big 12 Goalie of the Week, Jordan Knights, will have her work cut out for her. Last year, Knights pitched a shutout in Boulder in the Buffs' 1-0 win. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m. Mountain Time and will be streamed live on ESPN+.
Barring a late season collapse, the Colorado Buffaloes will qualify for the Big 12 tournament as a top 8 seed. The Buffs will play the first round of the single elimination tournament starting November 3rd. The tournament is hosted by TCU in Fort Worth, Texas, and opponents and kickoff will be determined by seeding later this season.
Welcome to Folsom Feud. I'm your host, Colby, here with 3 contestants today, Lincoln, Balin, and Kieran. Lincoln, start us off.
I'll take game day etiquette for 200.
All right. This is the best way to show respect during the CU fight song.
What is standing, singing loud, and raising your hand in the hook 'em horn sign?
Not what we're looking for. Balin, you have an answer?
What is stand up, sing loud, and do the Ralphie horns?
Correct. Balin, the board is yours.
Give me tailgate traditions for 400.
All right, here's the answer. The must-have item to wear on game day to show your Buff pride. Kieran?
What is black and gold?
That's correct. Nothing says school spirit like those 2 colors. Choose the next one.
Let's do fan etiquette for 600.
Fan etiquette. The proper response when you hear someone yell, "Go Buffs."
What is Skull Buffs?
Skull Buffs is right. Looks like we've got some true Buffs fans here.
But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our contestants, and see you next time.
The men's basketball team started its season on a good note, beating up on the Grace College Lancers 92-66. Despite the score, the first half was close, with the Lancers leading the game at halftime by 3 points. The Buffaloes came out on fire in the second half. The team outscored Grace College by 29 points in the half, forcing 15 turnovers. Freshman Isaiah Johnson led all scorers with 21 points. The Los Angeles native shot 70% from the field, cashing in 4 made threes. Jalen Holland was another freshman who stood out in the game. Holland had 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. With a young roster, the Buffaloes will be leaning on freshmen to play important minutes this season. The Buffs host Montana State in the regular season opener on November 3rd at 7 p.m.
Welcome to this week's edition of Buff Banner. I'm Matt Spivak alongside Oliver Hayes, and we're going to be talking some men's hoops. The team started their 2025-26 season with an exhibition against Grace College, winning 92-66. Oliver, what are your thoughts on that game and the front court?
Well, anytime there's an exhibition, especially in October, there's some nuance to it. Just because it's not an official game. Of course, there's a score, there's referees, there's things like that. But teams and coaches are more looking at situation, context. Who is going to play in the rotation? There's players who are playing who are probably going to redshirt this year for across any program. There's situations that the coaches are trying to put their players in that they're not going to be put in during the regular season. So you have to kind of take that game with a grain of salt. Of course, we saw the Buffs trail at the half, 37-34 in that one before, of course, blowing it up in the second half. But I think we just learned a lot more about the freshmen, of course, and what they'll bring to the team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We saw a little bit more from the returners, especially Felix Casares, but also from Bengon Dak, who was injured this offseason. But looking at who I'm most excited for, I'm super excited about the backcourt. I know you are as well, but the front court, Sebastian Ranchik, I am super high on him, the sophomore who's coming back after a pretty strong freshman year last year, despite the 3-17 conference record. And I think there's potential that it may not be next offseason, but 2 off seasons from now, there's potential that he could be in the NBA, because I think his shooting ability has really come a long way. He has a two-way ability as well, being 6'10 and very mobile, and he's working on his ball handling and playmaking, especially in the pick and roll. So I think he could be very versatile and do a lot of things on the basketball court and really lead the Buffs and be the first guy that they look at. But then behind him, Alon Mikaeli, a guy that was picked up on the first day of the fall semester, who joined the team late, but still as a 20-year-old freshman from Israel, he's brought a professional experience, 2 years in Israel, and he's shown versatility in that, especially in that Grace College game. We didn't get to see Sebastian Ranchik due to his ankle injury, but we got to see Mikaeli, and he impressed me so far. But for you, who has stood out in that Grace College game, and even back to Australia, because the Buffs got to go down under 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the backcourt. Someone who stood out to me a lot in both the scrimmages down under and in that game against Grace College was freshman Isaiah Johnson. He actually led the Buffs in points in the game against the national team, the Australian national team, the Boomers, and led the Buffs in points against Grace College last Sunday with 21 points, shooting 70% from the field. I really think he just looks super comfortable playing on the floor right now. He's a shifty guard. He can get down, attack the rim. He can pass. He can shoot. He really does it all for the Buffs. And then another guy I'm looking at is Barrington Hargress, the UC Riverside transfer. He's a junior, so in this young Buffs guard room, he brings experience, he brings leadership. He's also a scorer, scored 20 points per game for Riverside last season, so I'm expecting both of those guys to lead this Buffs backcourt. Moving into some key matchups throughout this season, what games do you have circled?
Well, I'll look at the non-conference slate first. Only the Buffs aren't playing too hard of a non-conference schedule. They didn't play too hard of one last year. They're not going to Maui this season during Feast Week. They're going to play the Acra Sierra Series during Feast Week out in Palm Desert in California, I believe it is. So not as much talent out there. But the one game I am looking forward to is only a few games in versus Providence. They're starting a home-and-home series with Providence. Of course, new assistant Nate Tomlinson, who also played point guard for the Buffs. Over 10 years ago. He joined the Buffs coaching staff this offseason, but he came from Providence, where he was coaching alongside Kim English, who was also in the Colorado's coaching staff a few years ago. So not only does that game have that type of connection with the coaching staff, and just seeing that type of reunion, but Providence, they're not a team that will fold over compared to some of these these other teams. Not saying that these mid-major squads that the Buffs will see in non-conference play, across the Big Sky and the Mountain West Conference, things like that won't be tough matchups.
the Buffs, with the game you'll mention, struggled with teams last year in non-conference play. But Providence, they're coming from the Big East. They're solid, and I think that will be a game that will really show what the Buffs are made of early.
Yeah, the non-conference game that I'm looking at is against University of Northern Colorado. This is the Buffs' last non-conference matchup of their schedule before they start that onslaught of their Big 12 schedule. Really a game, no matter what happened in the non-conference schedule, a game to get right, a game to kind of see what is happening and kind of change some things if you need to right before conference play. And it doesn't really matter your record coming into. Obviously, you want to have a good record, but if you win Big 12 games, you're going to have a good chance of making that Big 12 tournament, and good things will happen to you. Moving on to our conference games, what conference games do you have scheduled?
Well, I want to bring up one thing with the Northern Colorado game. That is Tad Boyle's the former school that he had his first head coaching job at. So that's always a game that means a lot to him. And, of course, grew up in Greeley, Colorado. So I know our boys like Leopoldo Rivera, who grew up there, like that. But looking at the conference games, I think the two matchups that stand out to me, the first one is the game against Kansas. Of course, that always stands out no matter when that is played. Of course, now in Big 12 play, that's a yearly matchup, if not a 2 times a year matchup. But the Buffs are not traveling to Lawrence this year to play in Allen Fieldhouse. The Jayhawks are going to have to come to the ZU Event Center, and while they did last year, and Hunter Dickinson put up a 30-point performance and beat down the Buffs, that was a common occurrence last year. I think that with the roster turnover that the Jayhawks experienced after a down season, and the Buffs experiencing solid roster turnover themselves, that could be a game with potential upset, with upset potential, especially at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday with that funky time. But then the game that I'm also looking at is TCU. I believe there's a lot of similarities from last year to this year between experience, but also I'm excited to see the battle of the 6-foot point guards. You brought up Barrington Hargress and Isaiah Johnson. I think they'll play solid minutes alongside each other for the Buffs. But TCU, they have Brock Harding from Iowa and Jane Pierre coming from the Big East, who are two talented 6-foot point guards, and I think seeing that matchup will be pretty fun. But what about you for the Big 12 slate?
I'm looking at the Colorado's last conference game against Arizona. Just a chance to show out at the end of the season, get the energy up, and hopefully end the season on a good note for the Buffs. Moving on to our predictions, what do you have the Buffs going this year conference-wise?
Well, I mean, that's a tough one. No, I mean, for every team, but especially in this Big 12 conference, because after going to Big 12 Basketball Media Day, as the coaches and players said, this is the best the conference has ever been. This conference is so deep. There are so many sleeper teams, and there could be a win for, no matter who you're playing in that conference, you could get beat. And so with that said, the Buffs, I don't think they'll have the easiest time, especially after the year they had last year, especially with so much youth. But given so much youth and what we've seen from the trips down in Australia and what we've seen in the preseason, the scrimmages so far, I think they could be one of those teams that shows that upset potential and can surprise some teams. Maybe not on the road, but I think 8-10, 7-11, 9-9 potential, somewhere in there. Locking in the 8-10 range is probably where I would say that they will finish. I think they'll win a lot of the home games. They have the energy to do so. They have the defensive versatility. I think it'll be hard to win on the road, but with the home games and trying to use that advantage, I think they could potentially upset Kansas. That's why I circled that game. That Arizona game you mentioned, that will be senior night, so there's also a little special factor there. But at the same time, there's teams like Oklahoma State, Kansas State, TCU even, squads that are going to be like the Buffs that may feel like sleepers because they're not Texas Tech, they're not Houston, they're not BYU, but of course they're still super dangerous and can bite teams. So I think the Buffs locking in at 8-10 is, I guess, the record I'll go with right now, but definitely subject to change.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on most of those points. I got them going 7-11, somewhere around there. I definitely think it's going to be hard for them to win road games. Like you said, last year they were 0-10 in their conference road games, so that's definitely not a great stat that we're looking at. I do have them starting strong, though, winning their first 2 matches. The first one against Arizona State, a team that finished just 1 spot above us last year, going 4-16 in the Big 12. And then I have them winning the next game against Utah, another team that's kind of middle of the pack, maybe a little lower than that. But going in and starting their real, tough opponents. I saw that in the preseason coaching poll, 6 of the teams in this conference are ranked inside the top 25 preseason coaches poll, which is going to be tough to beat a lot of those teams. And so it's hard for me to give the Buffs a lot of wins against teams like that. Moving into the Big 12 championship tournament, how do you see the Buffs doing in that?
Well, I think with a lot of things we mentioned, just with the surprise factor of this conference, it'll be very hard to guess, how the Buffs will do 5 months out from now. Because even from, seeing last year, the Buffs in January were a much different team than the Buffs we saw in March, as we saw them win only 3 games in conference play for the first 2 months and then rattle off 2 wins in the Big 12 conference tournament. So it's definitely hard to guess, but I think with what we said, the Buffs are going to be trying to play for a higher seed on that first day to try and play a lesser opponent and pick up a win there instead of trying to play from behind like they did last year. And with that, maybe potentially in a 16-team conference getting a bye on that first day if they do end up putting a better record than the 8-10, more towards a 9-9. 10-8 type of record is probably going to be a little bit more promising for them getting that bye. So, hard to say where they could potentially reach. I think they have the potential to make it to the championship game, as a lot of these teams do across the Big 12. But as far as what they're trying to aim to do, I think, being on the higher side of that first day and trying to get a first day bye is their main goal.
Yeah, a first day bye would be huge. I don't know if that's in the cards for the Buffs. That would definitely be something that Tad and his squad are looking for. I have them placing around the 10 to 12 seed. I gave them a record of 7-11 last year in the conference. That would put them right at the 11 seed. So somewhere around there. I maybe give them one win in the conference, possibly 2. I think it would be hard for them to get to that conference championship, though. And that's going to end this week's episode of Buff Banner. I'm Matt Spivak alongside Oliver Hayes, and you heard it here first.
Buffs women basketball returns to the CU Event Center this Wednesday as they take on the Colorado School of Mines in an exhibition. Last season, the Buffs had a commanding victory over the Ore Diggers, winning 91-46. However, both look very different than they did in 2024, with the Buffs welcoming 8 newcomers, while Mines brings in 6 new players. Admission is free for students to get their first look at Coach J.R. Payne and the new look Buffs, led by Jade Masiago, Kennedy Sanders, and a fleet of powerhouse freshmen.
The Big 12 hosted Men's Basketball Media Day in Kansas City this week. Here's Leo Rivera with his key takeaways from the upcoming season.
Colorado Buffaloes are back in Kansas City for this year's Big 12 Media Days, and here are a couple of the takeaways. First and foremost, Coach Tad Boyle commented on the youth of this team. With 7 incoming freshmen, he's going to count on guys like Bangok Dak, Sebastian Ranchik, and Elijah Malone to step up in their leadership abilities. Overall, the Big 12 has seen an influx of competition with top names like AJ DeBonza and JT Toppin making their presence felt here at Media Day. Coach Boyle is excited about the competition and hopes it's going to ignite his guys to feel to their full potential this season. Colorado was selected 15 out of 16 in this year's media poll, providing a spark that the team may need. Although Boyle didn't comment on how he thinks the team will finish, he did say that they for sure will not be 15th or 16th, not finishing in last. Those were the big things from this year's Media Day. As always, I'm Larry Bev IV, and you heard it here first.
Back to the green after a week off, CU men's golf is heading to Maui for the Ka'anapali Classic, starting Monday through Wednesday. After a strong fall so far, the Buffs look to keep building momentum in Maui. Justin Biewer has been a reliable leader all year, and the Buffs will look to him to keep their team under par and above expectations this week. As they head to Hawaii, we'll see if Biewer and the Buffs can turn that consistency into a statement finish to close out their fall schedule.
CU women's golf is coming off an 8th place finish at the Stanford Intercollegiate after a consistent weekend against some of the country's best programs. Ellie Gash led the Buffs with a 1-over performance and a strong final round, while Sydney Gilbertson and Morgan Miller stayed steady throughout the weekend. Now the team heads to Hawaii for the Nania Invitational, running Monday through Wednesday in Koloa, Kona. We'll see if the California consistency can carry over to the Pacific as the Buffs look to finish their fall season on a high note.
The women's hockey team won in a battle against Michigan State this past Monday. They went into overtime 2-2 with CU winning in a shootout. They have their last home games of the semester this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all at the CU Rec Center. Friday and Saturday will be Rocky Mountain Showdowns against CSU. Friday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m. Sunday, they host DU at 11 a.m. If you can't make it in person, make sure to tune in right here on Sco Buff Sports.
On the men's side of things aren't so hot. The men's D1 Buffs enter this week coming off a split series against the UCO Broncos. The Black and Gold hold the number 6 slot in the WCHL with a 4-7 record. The Buffs have a long weekend ahead of them as they travel down to Arizona to face the number 8th ranked Wildcats of Zona and the 4th ranked Antelopes of GCU.
To no one's surprise, D2 hockey is off to a hot start. Currently holding the number 2 slot in the BMHC, forward David Levkis leads the conference in scoring with 4 goals and 8 assists. This weekend marks the start of conference play for the Buffs. Saturday afternoon, we'll see a matchup against MSU Denver at the Promenade, while Sunday evening, the Buffs travel to Denver to face off against the Pioneers.
The tennis team is back in action this weekend. They're heading to Denver to compete against DU, Weber State, and Wyoming in the Pioneer Hidden Duel tournament. Heading into this tournament, freshman Lonnie Brotman captured the top spot in both the singles and doubles bracket in the South Korean National Sports Festival. She looks to continue her hot streak in the upcoming tournament.
The club baseball team gets their Rocky Mountain Showdown this weekend. The team's set for a doubleheader on Saturday at City Park in Fort Collins. The first pitch is at noon.
Hey, Buff fans, I'm Kieran Walker, bringing you this week's top 4 plays in Colorado sports. It was a bit of a quiet weekend here in Boulder, but nonetheless, some electric plays occurred. So let's dive right in with our number 4 pick this week. We go to volleyball against the Mountaineers of West Virginia. It's shot over to Kayla Payne with her 15th kill of the season. We got to get a slow-mo replay on this one. Oh my God! Look at the pain on that kill. What an electric play for the junior. Let's go to hockey now for number 3. Women's hockey, by the way, had their home opener last weekend. Comes out to Kieran Sullivan, who takes a shot from deep and scores, giving Colorado the lead 2-1 after being outshot 26-12 against the Michigan State Spartans at home. What a play for the freshman to keep the Buffs on top. For number 2 this week, we go to London, where we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Trevor Lawrence looking downfield, rifles this one, and it's caught by Travis Hunter, who gets his first career NFL touchdown. What an electric play for the rookie. Now for number 1, we go back to hockey this week. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a shootout, and Sophie O'Brien takes to the ice as she will go up the left side. And looking, juke! And it's right between the legs for the victory in a shootout. 3-2 in favor of Colorado in their home opener against the Michigan State Spartans. Sophie O'Brien doing what she does best, right between the legs in overtime. We saw her do that last season, and there is no sign that she is stopping. That's going to do it for this week for our Plays of the Week here on ScoBuff Sports. We'll have some more coming to you next week. I'm Kieran Walker, wishing you a wonderful weekend.
Here we see Xavier McNevitz working on his reader for the live show. If we didn't have these readers done by Thursday night, chances are we would not be airing this show right now. Be like Xavier. Get your readers done. And don't forget to click save so that you don't lose any of your hard-earned work.
What's up, Buff fans? I'm Avery Childs, here to bring you this week's Rapid Fire. Starting off the weekend strong, we've got women's soccer tonight at 7 p.m. The Buffs will take on Texas Tech right here on Prentice Field. If you can't make it to the game, be sure to tune in on ESPN+. Moving into Saturday, women's volleyball will take on Iowa State at 1 p.m. This game will be held in the CU Event Center, but if you can't make it, you can watch it on ESPN. Later that night, we've got football playing at Utah at 8:15 p.m. Be sure to watch on ESPN. And finally, women's tennis will be playing in the Pioneer Hidden Duel. This tournament will be in Denver on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's all for this week's Rapid Fire. Once again, I'm Avery Childs. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Avery. Now it's time to reveal the answer to this week's trivia question. Earlier, we asked you, when was the last time Colorado beat Utah in back-to-back matchups? Drum roll, please. The answer is 1957 and 58, when Coach Dallas Ward led the Buffs into Ute Stadium to win 7-0, back when Utah was a member of the now long-defunct Skyline Conference.
Our tweet of the week this week comes courtesy of Fox College Football from Tuesday's Football Presser. Coach Prime spent his bye week exploring Estes Park, but may need to dust off a Nat Geo magazine after encountering some of the local wildlife.
What you call those big things? The moose? Elks? What's a moose? He's bigger? You gotta, I'm black, okay? I don't know elk, moose, deer. Like, they all like family to me. But I saw a lot of big animals around Esther's, and I'm not used to that. So it was great. And some deer tried to cut across the front of the car, and definitely wasn't going to hit them. You know, that's all I need, a brother hitting a deer. And Esther, hey, no, not going to happen.
It's a cool area.
Yeah, it's a great area. I love it. I want to go back.
Well, honest mistake. It's not like he coaches at a school that confuses buffalo with bison or anything. Oh, wait. That's everything for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. For Scope Up Sports, I'm Quinn Craig.
I'm Mason LeBeau, and
You heard it here first.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.